had some sudak and also some chicken and cheese and just about anything you could think of, and had a very nice meal with our Russian colleagues. And with us closing the hatches tonight, we're last-minute packing and transfers were going on pretty much all day long. And here you see Pat hauling in some of the equipment and helping me out with inventorying some of the stuff going into the big bags. And we coordinated all of that with Sonny. And here's Sonny's dedication in the morning.
Well, it was a tough day today to know that I was leaving the station for the last day on station, but also very exciting to become part of the Atlantis crew and get ready to come home.
Yep, we'd finished transferring some oxygen from the shuttle over to the station using the Orca pump you see there, and we had to reconfigure the cooling and the hoses.
This is a view of us taking samples that have been taken for science over the 6-month increment out of the Melfi, which is the freezer we have, minus 80 degrees freezer. And we have to do it pretty quickly because there's a time limit to ensure the temperature of the samples, then they stay frozen as well as the Melfi itself. And I'm handing the samples off to Clay Anderson, who's putting them in a cold bag, and that's how they'll stay. Essentially, it's a cooler. They'll stay in that cold bag until we get home, so then the scientists can take a look at the science.
The last little bit of transfer that we had was basically taking over the EMUs, which we had brought over from the space shuttle. These are the ones that Jim Riley and myself had used during our two spacewalks. Well, after all that, it was time to say goodbye to the crew of Expedition 15 and head on back to planet Earth. We still got a couple days to go, but an important part was closing out the hatches after we'd said our farewells.
One of the last couple things that Clay and I had to do for handover was switch our American flags as the American presence on station, and then switch our Expedition 15 patches. The initial patch had my name on it, and this patch now has Clay's name, so he's officially part of Expedition 15. You can probably see it's a little bit dark, but that's Theodore and CJ shaking hands as the hatch is getting ready to close. And that's our last activity with the station for this evening.
Okay, Houston, here we are. It's Flight 812, undocking day, and Brew is setting us up to do the undocking. First thing he had to do is do the Group B power-up, and then he recovered the IMUs for us. You can see him here doing some Spec 21 actions. Now we are in the undocking timeline, making sure all the jets are deselected, and the crew is discussing, per our excellent training, what we would do if we need to reselect a jet in the event of certain DPS failures. You can see the entire crew gets into position as we power up the logics and drivers. This is about 5 minutes prior to undocking. Okay, and just to be technically correct, we did the logics first and then the drivers per the procedure. Here's Pat following with JR, and they're working the APDS steps and pushing undocking at about 2:20 prior. Here you can see the ISS separating for the orbiter, and I'll let Brew take over the commentary.
Okay, after the undock, we slowly backed out to approximately 450 feet before we started our pitch around the International Space Station. As we moved out, Danny Olivas is working the RPOP machine as well as backing up the data from the TCS, which provides our range and range rate data. He's backing that up with some good handheld laser checks. View from the overhead window, you can see the station backing away very slowly. We're moving out at about roughly 0.2 feet per second. More views of a very symmetrical International Space Station now as we continue to back out on the what we call the V-bar.
Part of our requirements was to do
documentation and a complete mapping of the station, and we did that as we backed out, and then eventually used the 400 millimeter lens.
Looks like we're in a fly around here. It looks like as we backed out, it was nighttime, but during most of the fly around, it was daytime, and so you can see it's very bright now, and we are in a fly around, capturing the space station from 360 degrees all the way around. You gotta love that symmetrical space station now. Here we are after about 90 degrees. The RPOP machine showing us exactly where we're at. We're shooting to be at roughly 600 feet above the International Space Station as we hit the 90-degree point on our fly around.
So that was the last day that I'll probably see the International Space Station for quite some time. It was my home for 6 months, and pretty emotional event, and but I'm happy to come back to Earth.
Another nice view through the overhead window as we continue to track around the space station to its backside. This is our primary source of maintaining our position as we go around the space station. It's a COAS, it's just nothing but a reticle, and we try to keep the space station lined up somewhere near the center of that reticle as we transition all the way around the space station. And you see, looking up right now, we're looking up at the very bottom, looking straight forward. We call this, we're on the R bar.
As we get further away, the ability to photograph the space station gets a little bit more challenging, so we have a variety of lenses on board that we use for photo documentation. You saw Jim Riley there also doing taking some radar marks as we move further on out. You can see here from the computer that this essentially was a textbook separation and fly around by Lee Archambault.
And then the night came, and we had another sunrise, and now you can see off the tail, you should be able to see station. The station was a little hard to see, it was on the other side of the tail, and here we moved the tail a little bit over to get another view of station just off the tail as we departed it.
Here you can see pretty much the entire crew checking the cabin temp controller. Number 2. Number 1 was working fine, so we switched over to number 2. There if you look real close, you can see it moving. I'm sorry, but some things are just funnier in space. We're crying up here. After undocking, we still had a full day ahead of PDRS or ARM operations. We conduct what we call late inspection, where we take the boom out with the shuttle robotic arm, and we basically remap the leading edge of the wings and the nose cap again, very similar to what we did on flight day 2, just to make sure there was no damage while we were docked up there from MMOD. Okay, this is a shot. You can still see the station. The Mission Control Center in Houston called us up and said it was about 9 miles away, and then we did a burn later on to move it out a little further away overnight.
Atlantis, Houston. On energy approaching the hack. Small wind update. Surface winds 110 at 4, peaking to 6. That's 2 tail and 5 from the left. You are nominal shoot, and there's the potential for interglide slope glare on both the CDR and PLT sets.
Okay, we copy all. Nominal shoot deploy.
That's a good readback.
Runway in sight.
Houston copies.
This is a view from the heads-up display. 1 minute to touchdown.